Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Kate Johnson. Welcome to the Ashford Teaching and Learning Conference. I'm really excited to hand off the reins to this great group. Their presentation is called Next Mission, Finding Purpose After Military Service. Victoria, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kate. So good evening, everyone. My name is Victoria Iyamba. I'm an Access and Wellness Counselor here at Ashford University in the Department of Student Affairs. I've been with the organization for 5 years now, and I received my master's degree in counseling from San Diego State University. So again, as Kate said, our presentation is titled Next Mission, Finding My Purpose After Military Service. Anytime one closes a chapter on any part of their life, a sense of loss ranging from small to large may occur. Whether it is moving away from home, completing school, or ending a relationship. The same feelings of loss can occur when a service member completes their military service. For many veterans, serving in the military helped cultivate a sense of identity and purpose in their lives. Through the military, veterans gain community and social networks. When that chapter in their life has been completed, veterans are departing the most interconnected social networks they have experienced. This too creates a sense of loss, and veterans may wonder how and where they can find similar feelings of community once again. So thought leaders have stated, purpose is what can compel an individual. Sorry, I'm going to advance the slides for you guys. So thought leaders have stated, purpose is what can compel an individual to act and drive us to achieve. Purpose can also form our identity, which influences the choices for education, profession, and our beliefs. Research by Ahern et al. Studied challenges veterans face when transitioning to civilian life. Their research found 3 themes: military as family, the military environment was a family that took care of them and provided them structure. Normal is alien, the experience of disconnection from people at home, lack of support from institutions, and loss of purpose upon a return to civilian life. And searching for a new normal, strategies and support veterans found to reconnect during these challenges. Ahern et al. Also uses homecoming theory to emphasize how critical connection is to a successful transition. Homecoming theory highlights the theme of disconnection or alienation as part of the challenge faced by veterans. Homecoming theory states a traveler, such as a military service member, is separated from home by space and time. During separation, the service member, family, and friends all have unique experiences. Thus, each will be some ways unknown and unfamiliar to the other upon their return. Differences in expectation versus reality can cause shock on both sides. Although these are challenges faced, researchers and thought leaders have discussed ways to address these concerns. Studies have shown that veterans can rebuild purpose by helping others through community services and by volunteering, also finding strength within themselves, having confidence in their own capabilities that they've gained through service, and leveraging networks and military benefits are just a start to the many suggestions that are offered. So while research is beneficial to answer many questions, we thought it would be more beneficial to hear strategies that veterans themselves have used to facilitate finding their new purpose. With that, we will now be talking to our panel of service members, And Matt will help introduce our great panelists today.
Hi, everyone, and thank you again for joining us. My name is Matt Galloway. I'm the Student Care Manager with Ashford University within Student Affairs. And before we get to those questions, I would like to introduce our panelists here today with us. Stephanie Kinman is the Military Development and Engagement Specialist at Ashford. She served 6 years as a Navy corpsman, with 2 of those years attached to a Marine unit. She is well-versed in understanding the unique challenges military students face. She achieved her undergraduate degree in psychology from University of Phoenix and her MSW with a focus in military and veteran populations from the University of Southern California. Stephanie is dedicated to the military student population and brings her education, social work background, and personal experience both in the military and in the classroom to provide resources, community events, and pathways for students to connect outside the classroom. Poppe is a career service specialist at Ashford. She's a Virginia native and spouse of an active duty Navy officer within the Medical Corps. Katie's experience with PCS, LES, and TRICARE, and many more things, and actively serves in the San Diego Navy Officers Spouses Club on various committees. At Ashford, Katie enjoys coaching students and alumni on a wide variety of career development topics to include cover letter and resume reviews, interview preparation, and career exploration. She holds a master's degree in professional communication and is an experienced public speaking coach and writing mentor. Katie enjoys her conversations with military students, providing assistance regarding relocating and career changes due to the military lifestyle. Tommy Pedro Dones grew up on the streets of New York and enlisted in the United States Army at the age of 20. Through service and dedication, Tommy fought his way up the ladder to become a sergeant and decorated combat war veteran. Tommy's received additional awards in the civilian world, including 2 from the White House for serving his community, one of which is the President's Volunteer Service Award. Tommy is the father of 4 beautiful children and is an Ashford Forbes School of Business and Technology graduate. So thank you to our panelists for sharing your experience. And before we get into the questions, anything we missed? All right, let's get started. First question, Tommy, if we can start with you. How has your identity changed through this process and transition?
So once we go through life, we come across many different challenges that puts us in different situations. And so, what really helped shape my identity is not just going overseas, but coming back a different person. And one thing that I learned is, in life, we have the ability to create tools, and it's the tools that I was able to learn that actually helped me shape my identity. As a military war veteran, you experience things that not many civilians go through. And so I feel that in life, it's very important for us to have certain tools that, we don't necessarily have at hand, but we actually grow and learn from others. I was very fortunate to work for Anthony Robbins for 10 years, and indirectly, I was able to kind of pick what worked for me. And one of the greatest things that really helped me out is understanding a person's blueprint, which is really 3 things. It's their rules, values, and belief systems. That's really what everyone's made up of, those 3 things. For example, their rules may be like any game that you play, whether it be chess, checkers, cards, there's rules to the game. And so by understanding a person's rules, you understand their boundaries and what they will accept and what they won't accept. Another thing that's great is, you focus on people's rules. The next thing is values. For example, this laptop may not mean a heck of a whole lot to me because the company gave it to me, and if I break it, the IT department might give me another one. If a significant other gave you the laptop that you're looking at right now or computer, and something happened to it, it may have an emotional impact on you, and you'll react differently. So that's the values. So there's rules, there's values, and then finally, what makes a person's blueprint is their belief system. And I think that one's pretty easy. Some people are Christians, some people are Catholics, but we all have a belief in something. And so by understanding a person's blueprint, that helped me identify myself, and it helped me to understand others. The other thing that I was having challenges with in my transition and learning to identify myself is a communication format. Because a lot of times in the military, when you're transitioning into the civilian world, you can't just, tell somebody, give me 20 if they mess up. So, there's really a communication format that I was able to learn as well, which really helps me with everything that I do in life, whether it be relationships, whether it be business, whether it be just making simple decisions. It is broken down in 4 parts, and that is my purpose, what's great, my challenges, which is where the meat and potatoes is at, because the more challenges that you can think of, the more solutions you can create, which in turn you'll have a better outcome. So learning those tools is what helped me shape my identity and how I deal with things today.
Yeah.
Stephanie, how about you? How has your identity changed through this process?
Yeah, I think the reason and purpose that I joined the military in the first place was to have a sense of family and belonging and wanting to do something bigger than myself. And I didn't have the best military experience. I joined when I was 18 and I ended up discharging at 24. And I thought I was going to make the military a career. I happened to be a victim of sexual assault and my command covered it up, so I felt betrayal. I decided to terminate and not re-enlist after my contract had ended, and I ran from everything that I felt I gained from the military. I had no sense of patriotic. I didn't tell people or identify as a veteran. I wanted to run as far away from the military as possible. I changed and colored my hair. I never wanted to be seen wearing a uniform. But some of the values that I learned in the military, I realized that I brought with me when I was looking for my new identity. Because in the military, they tell you who you are. They tell you how to dress, how to think, how to speak, what to eat. Even when you're not in uniform, you're being told what and how to dress. As a female living in a foreign country, these are your rules and regulations. And I thought my parents were strict, but the military is a totally different thing. So when I got out, I wanted to be the decision maker of where I lived. I wanted to be the decision maker in, how I dressed and everything. But I realized how difficult it was when someone has always told you what to do and how to do it, that when you have the actual freedom to make those decisions, how incredibly challenging it actually was. So I did what I know best, and I dove into work, which I was working at a clothing company at the time. And I put all my focus and energy on being the best. That's what we're taught to do, is find the mission and, take it on full force. So in that, within 4 months of working for a company, the boss actually told me to run her $1 million store during the busiest time of the year, November to January, while she was on maternity leave. And she had people that had worked for her for 7 years. So I think that my military mentality of getting results done really paid off in a big way that allowed me to be recognized at my next organization and really helped shape my career. But I think after doing that for a few years, I missed that sense of family. I missed that sense of belonging to a community. I had kept in touch with a lot of friends from the military that started facing similar challenges, whether it's post-traumatic stress or military sexual trauma, coming back with a traumatic brain injury, feeling that they were, getting discharged for something that they had no responsibility for, that's something that was done to them, and now they're being kicked out of the military. It's like, now that you're no use to us anymore, goodbye and so good luck. And so I really felt the need to want to make a difference in that community, having felt that abandonment myself. And so I left my job and I pursued my undergrad in psychology and then focused on social work with a military and veteran population as my master's, because I really wanted to find ways to give back to those that felt the same things that I challenged with.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. What stands out to me in those responses is certainly how you relate to the world, how you communicate with each other, and certainly understanding yourself again post-process. Katie, for you, I know your husband is active duty. Is there any part of kind of the entry process that these pieces stood out to you, or any other comments kind of that you want to make?
Sure. Talk a little bit and piggyback off of Tommy and Stephanie's comments. On the flip side of that, as still serving and being a part of that community, what I found that I've had to add to my toolkit is that flexibility and patience that I think Tommy and Stephanie have both really hinted on. My personal background, professional background, has been a planner by nature, certified meeting and event planner, both of my degrees situated within that field. So going with the flow has not really been my forte. So that has been the greatest challenge for me, is just to accept that things happen not at your leisure, not really with that much consideration placed into you as an individual, but it's the unit, it's the core, it's a much larger picture than you. So having that understanding, I think, has been key for me, learning that flexibility, that it's not in my control, nor is it even in my service members' control. It's kind of a bit larger than us. So that's been kind of my greatest takeaway and impact to adjust my identity, I guess, at this point.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for sharing, each of you. Victoria, do you want to take us into the next question?
Yeah. So how were your emotional and physical health prioritized? And Stephanie, would you mind?
Sure. So as you know, so far I'm going to be completely honest. I'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So my emotional and physical health, I think, always took a backseat to the mission, whether that was in the military or post-transition. And I'll just share a story with you really quick. I was a hard charger, got into this special course in the military, and it was only offered for a set number of days. I was feeling sick, but I'm always afraid that I'm being a hypochondriac, so I just pushed through it. And my boss was like, "You look really horrible. I feel like you should go to medical." And I was like, no, I'll be fine. I got to push through. I got to get through this course. And involuntarily, I just ended up throwing up all over the place. And I ended up going to medical. I had to sit there through the entire lunch hour while they were gone. And when they came back, they ended up doing some blood work, and they rushed me to the emergency room to take my appendix out. So my stubbornness, my pride of not wanting to be seen as the weakest link, which definitely took more priority over my own health concerns, almost cost me my life. But I'm stubborn and I didn't learn. And my way of dealing with the stresses of what I went through, I started masking my pain by drinking. I was not one of those kids that partied in high school. I always said I was going to be straight edge. So I didn't actually have my first taste of alcohol until after I was 21. But boy, did I make up for lost time. So dealing with that was one way that I tried to mask the emotional pain that I had felt. And when I got out of the military, I don't think that changed. I always thought, once I get home, everything will be better. It'll be different. I'll go back to being normal. I'll start engaging with friends and family again. I won't recluse like I used to. I mean, I stayed, my last duty station, I stayed in my dorm room probably an entire year, and I never left other than to go to work. So I thought that once I got home, things would get better, but I just was drinking just so I could get to sleep. I was making excuses for my behavior that wasn't healthy. In case anyone is wondering, I'm sober, so I don't drink anymore. But it was a very challenging, I think where I found relief and I started to, is learning self-awareness. I think that was really important, and then talking to other people, whether that's a therapist or close friends that I could confide in. Journaling is also really important too, getting your thoughts out on paper, really understanding a way to deal with things that you've experienced. And then also getting to a point where you're comfortable enough that you could share your experience like I am today with other people that may be going through the similar situation. I think the more that we hide and we mask things, the more we're going to have problems with these issues long term. So that's my experience.
Thank you for the honesty.
Thank you.
Well, I have to admit, I mean, you know, she's making me want to come out of my shell a little bit. You know, I think, you know, I'll branch off about what she's saying in regards to, you know, I mean, you know, when you're in that kind of environment and you come home, you know, you're changed, and you don't realize how much the military can change you. You know, I know that I came back, you know, and as far as physically, I had, you know, some injuries that happened, and, you know, and I didn't feel that support, you know, that, you know, I was supposed to get. But I didn't want to chase it either, because I felt, well, you know, why should I fight so hard when I already fought for my country as hard as I did, and got all these awards and decorations and proof that it's enough. And unfortunately, you gotta keep fighting and wasting your own time, your own money, your energy, which takes away from your family. You know, I have to admit, I came back a different person. And, you know, and I didn't realize how much has changed. You know, here you are, you're away, and you're coming back, and you're going through briefings, and they're basically telling you, don't mess with anything. You know, and I was married at the time, and things are very much different. You know, and I'm like, well, hey, that's our stuff, but I paid for all this stuff. You know, like, I mean, and you know, and I had to take the back seat, and you know, I couldn't pay the bills that I wanted to, and I saw the way that money was managed, and I wasn't happy with it, and I knew that I could do better, but I had to back off, and you know, at the end of everything, I ended up getting a divorce. You know, I have 2 beautiful children, and you know, and I made sure that it wasn't a nasty divorce. You know, and that's one thing I learned is, you know, you got to take care of your family, and you know, so she's my best friend till this day. You know, and I give her every penny that I have still, just to make sure that my kids are okay. And I think the biggest thing is that it does change you inside. And I think that's why it was so important for me to not lose control, but rather go back to those tools that I learned about rules, values, and belief systems, and understanding that people are different. And that's hard for me to do when I come from a structured world where this is how things go. And then having a communication format that enabled me to still get my mission accomplished, because when I came back, my mind is so military oriented, like everything is a mission. I mean, even me being here right now is like a mission. There's a structure about how I do things. And that's just my way of making sure that I don't lose track. That's one of the reasons why I pursued Ashford University to get my education, because I needed to hold on to something. I needed to continue to grow and to do something. And that's one thing that helps keep me grounded, helps me keep myself mentally focused, emotionally focused. And as far as staying physically focused, I run around all day, every day. So, I mean, I'm already naturally physically fit. However, if I had a desk job, I could see myself being in the gym almost every day. But it's just one thing that I do to kind of keep myself mentally fit, and physically fit.
Thank you guys for sharing your honesty.
Katie, any thoughts from you?
Just to offer that additional perspective, if we have any spouses that are tuned in or any other support networks. For me, kind of mentally and emotionally knowing when I've hit my limit, and trying to recognize when that is before that happens, and just pausing and hitting reboot. I can't tell you guys enough how much I utilize the support networks that exist for active duty service members and their spouses. So I'm really in a tight-knit community that I try to value as much now, because being surrounded by these other perspectives and hearing of the challenges with the detachment and things like that, I know that these are conversations that I will be immersed within in years to come. So trying to make sure that I take advantage of the opportunities that we have now while we are active, and then making connections and taking notes on all these other subject matter experts that are sharing with you tonight.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I was thinking of throughout these responses is just how that ebb and flow goes, and where there have been different times where emotional health or physical health have been prioritized at different levels, and then post-service really bringing that into focus even more, and ensuring that that becomes something that is a priority, where it may not have been more so over time. So again, thank you each for very authentic responses and honesty there. All right, well, we'll move on to the next question, which ties in perfectly to these so far. Talk a little bit about what your support network looked like. Tommy, could you kick us off with this one?
So my support network, you know, I ended up joining a fraternity for men, and that really helped me out to not just be part of a strong network, but also be able to give back to the community. And you know, and I was able to be the vice president of the board at one point, and do so many different things with that network, which also helped me get through my divorce and other things that I've been through. However, I have to say that my strongest support network are my kids. You know, every single day that I wake up, you know, when I rest my head, you know, everything that I do, it's all about my kids. You know, that's really what I live for now, and that not only fills my heart, but it also drives me to do better. And you know, and that's really what's kept me together, and really what's helped keep me motivated every single day to want to do the right thing. And trust me, I'm not perfect. You know, I know that you know that my buddy Stephanie over here, she had mentioned on alcoholism. When you come back, you know, you got all these different changes and things happening. You know, and I have to admit, when I came back, I was a mess. I did drink a lot, and when I mean a lot, I won't say how much a lot, but what I will say, it was enough to really get my own attention and realize that I needed to tone it down a lot. And it's those things that, you know, those support networks, your children, you know, your significant other, you know, if you have a cat, if you have a dog, whatever drives you to be better, that's really what I would encourage everyone that's trying to transition to do, is focus on something that's really going to help you out. Even churches help me out. I can't leave that out. You know, and I won't get all religious on anyone here, but I will say that, you know, we all have a great architect out there in the universe, you know, and it's up to us to find it within ourselves to you know, to fill your spiritual heart, you know, and to also fill your own heart with whatever helps drive you, because everything starts from the inside and it works its way out. That's my support network.
Perfect. Thank you. Stephanie, would you give us your thoughts on support network?
So I know that I keep referring to my active duty time, and I think that it's because it's very relevant to how I transition in my thoughts post-military. But I remember thinking that my command was supposed to be my support network, right? And I remember going through, it was my first duty station. I was 18 years old, and you know, being assaulted by a lieutenant and having the courage to even come to my command to tell them that this situation happened, and only to have my chief tell me, oh, you wouldn't want to, you know, ruin a lieutenant's career, right? Like, I'm sure it was just an accident. He was just drinking too much. Well, we'll just move you to a different department so you don't have to see him. And I just remember thinking, like, I was failed. Like, I didn't have the support that I thought that I deserved or I needed, and especially having the courage to come forward and say that. And I felt like I had no one I could trust. And I reclused in a lot of relationships. I feel that anyone that likely betrayed me, I cut them off, and they were no longer a part of my network. I probably still do that to this day, that you cross me once, it's hard for me to forgive, because I need people in my life that I could feel really do support and understand me. So my network is really small, but with that being said, I do have close friends that are scattered all over the U.S. So if I ever want to take a vacation, I got a couch to sleep on. But it's mostly other veterans that have similar experiences, and we really bonded by sharing our stories of the traumatic things that we went through. Also, I've bonded a lot with other veterans, their families. So it's like an extended network that their families accept me. It's like we you know, yeah, it's been great. I feel that I've made the family that I didn't necessarily grow up with through connections in the military. And then I could speak to kind of what Tommy said. I'm a single parent, and I never wanted kids because I was scared to. And I have been raising my son on my own since he was 3 months old. This happened while I was in the final months of my undergrad program. And it gives you something. I think when I used to have suicidal thoughts, if I ever have those thoughts anymore, I always go to my son. It's like, if I wasn't here, who would take care of him? If I wasn't here, who would, you know, I couldn't trust anyone to love him like I would. What would he think growing up knowing the situation? So he's my rock, and I'm so blessed to have him in my life. The one thing that I thought I wanted nothing to do with has been my saving grace, and I've done everything for him for a better life, and it's made me a better person. So I didn't think about that until Tommy said something, but I definitely can relate in that aspect. So.
Yeah, again, thank you both for just really authentic and open responses. I think it highlights both the importance of that support network and also the challenge that comes with the struggles that you've encountered during service and post. Katie, I wonder, for the spouse kind of lens, what does the support network look like? What have you found successful to date?
To piggyback again off of Stephanie's metaphor, my rock is my service member, and then I think the anchor is that extended community. You lose your family, what's been mentioned. You know, I'm an East Coast gal, but I say West Coast by marriage and the international by marriage, and it'll just continue to spiral like that. So I was kind of a small town gal, born and raised, same family, went to school with the same group of neighbors my whole life, went off to college, still in the same state. So definitely had some roots, and then, you know, met my match and married the military and kind of went from there. So utilizing that support network, I think, is really key. Still greatest of friends with those that I was friends with prior to joining the military lifestyle, but it takes someone kind of in that same seat as you to understand those challenges and understand the things that you face. Personally and professionally as well. So really bonding with other spouses or other family members. Try to stay as active as I can and serve in a different role. Serve by volunteering, be it at the USO or these various military nonprofits. So I try to stay really active and relevant in the community and make sure that I can play a part while my service member is playing his.
Thank you. Victoria.
Yeah, and just kind of to piggyback on that last question, I'll have you maybe continue, Katie. What is your favorite tool for managing stress?
My calendar.
Your calendar.
Again, that's coming from someone that tries to find little slices of organization and little slices of planning. So I'm really good on budgeting time and dedicating time to whatever, even if it's, you know, an activity that is do not schedule no activity, that is what I do. I think that it helps me realize what's on my plate, realize what's on my spouse's plate, and then I use it as reflection as well, because if that's what's on mine, I try to think about what might be on these other guys' plates, because that's probably got a little bit more sensitivity and intensity to it than mine, and that perspective, my husband and I call it the perspective game. I come home from a bad day, and he always gets to one-up me because he's, you know, he's doing things that I don't even think about. So utilizing that perspective to try to make sure that I can play a part, and if I'm stressed, I know that I'm not alone. I reflect back on that support network and just try to come up with strategies that will help me cope best, and truly knowing that I'm not alone.
Tommy, what are some of your tools that you like to manage your stress?
Vodka, beer. No, I'm kidding. No, honestly, you know, I think that's one thing that I do to manage stress is I crack jokes a lot. You know, every time I'm around my kids, I'm always cracking jokes. I'm always trying to do something goofy and funny, which I can't do in this room because, I mean, it's just you're so, when you're at your home environment, you know, it's like your nest, you know, and you're so like just open and free, and you could do the silliest faces ever and say the most silliest things on the planet, and I mean, and these kids will laugh at just about anything. So that always breaks my stress. What really breaks my stress, and it's been lately, is well, I mean, obviously your kids are growing, so they have their, like, their own personalities and things. But my daughter, she's been a real goofball lately. So she'll do like the most goofiest dances, and out of nowhere, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then she'll grab my hand and she's like, well, come dance with me, and so she wants me to teach her how to dance, and so like whether it's salsa, bachata, hip hop, R&B, country, no matter what it is, she wants me to shake my tail feather because she's probably seen me do that my whole life. So it's just fun just watching her interact with me, and some days, I have really bad days. Like my life is very, very stressful. I mean, when you have 3 baby mamas, yeah, that's me. Your life can be very stressful. My oldest is 21 this year. I have a 9-year-old. I have a 6-year-old daughter. My 9-year-old is Diego, and I have my newborn, which is 4 months old. So there's quite a range there. But lately, my daughter, she's just been like my biggest like stress breaker like ever. Whenever I'm feeling down, she'll just come up to me out random. I'm like, what is this, sweetie? Like, what is it now? And she's like, I love you, Dada. And I'm like, you're kidding me. Like, I mean, and it just makes everything go away. Like, at an instant. I don't care how long of a day I had. I don't care how bad of a day I had. There's nothing in this world that can just take that away from her at that moment. And it's crazy because it makes my whole night amazing. And what makes it even much better is my son piggybacks off of that. So then he's behind her like, I love you too, Dada. And it turns to like a little group hug. And I'm looking at this like, is this the Brady Bunch or what? Like, I mean, it's so amazing. I can't thank my great architect enough in this world for blessing me with children. I know that I've had a hard time, with transitioning and with the mothers, the communication and the child support, and trying to get them to be on my communication format. And they're like, well, that's how you do things, Tommy. But you know what? This is how I do things. So you kind of step back and learn and do the best that you can to figure out, well, you can't change people. You really can't. But you can change the way you approach things. You can test it. You can try different things. You can shape things to be better, which will reduce your stress level. And again, my kids, they make that all go away for me.
Yeah. How about you, Stephanie?
Yeah, I think, a tool of mine was definitely alcohol. And not to say that I was, the older I got, that I was like binge drinker or anything, but, coming home from a hard day at work and having 2 glasses of wine every day, I just realized that I wanted to take a break for myself and challenge myself to see how it made me feel. And I haven't gone back. So that used to be a way. I also know my limits, and I go to therapy on a weekly basis, and I talk to someone. I can be open and honest, and I feel like that's really helpful. And lastly, I think anyone that's gone through a trauma from what I understand, is that you have a sense of control. And so I try to do everything I can to control a situation. I don't think that that's necessarily a stress reliever, but to me it is, because I'll reorganize every cabinet in my house when I'm stressed out. It's a way for me to declutter my life. I feel like I have control over the situation. It makes me feel better, and then I see everything lined up and the labels are all facing the same way. I'm not OCD where I have to have it like that all the time, because a week later, because a week or 2 later, things are kind of a mess, but then it gives me something to do when I'm stressed out. I'll just, all right, I'm going through all the closets, whatever doesn't fit, gotta go, and so I find that being able to feel like I'm in control of something, even just for an hour or 2, makes me feel better about, that's the way I manage stress. Oh, and I eat. I love food. I'm a stress eater. Oh. God, okay, anyways.
Yes, and I think, I think people in the chat were also sharing some of their things, breathing, working out, coaching football, running, reading a great book. So those are all some really great things to add to our toolbox of what we can do to help really alleviate some of our own stresses.
So our next question, Stephanie, we'll start with you on this one. What's one thing that you know now that you wish you knew when making that transition?
The one question I told you not to ask me first. All right, sorry. I was ready for the other question.
I know, we're jumping around.
So I did not prep myself for an answer for this one. What is one thing? I wish I knew that it was okay to ask for help. I wish I knew that I didn't have to do it alone. I'm still learning that. It's still something I'm not comfortable with, but as a single parent, working a full-time job, I've never had to ask for help so much before in my life. And when I say single parent, my son is with me 100% of the time, and he has special needs. So I feel like I just really hit the jackpot on that one with, hey, you need to learn to ask for help, whether it's adjusting my work schedule or trying to find a school that is, you know, right for him, or asking a friend if, you know, she could watch him for an afternoon so I could have a moment to myself other than when I lock myself in the bathroom to take a shower. So it's like, you know, learning to ask for help. And there's so many resources out there that are specific for veterans that, you know, I wish I knew about then. But also, that's why I have the passion for the job that I do now, is that I want everyone to know you don't have to ask for help. It's right there, and they're just waiting for you to just accept that gift. So that's what I pride myself on now, is connecting people to the right resource. So yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Tommy, how about you?
I mean, honestly, I have to piggyback off of Stephanie over here. You know, I wish I would have asked for help. You know, I started off my life pretty rough. You know, I was in the streets of New York, sleeping on a cardboard box as a kid. I grew up rough. You know, I had to make ends meet, and I couldn't get a job because, well, you're too young. You're just a little kid. You know, so what do you have? You have a street. You know, I learned to make a lot of money in the street. At 19 years old, you know, I had 3 cars that had all kinds of money, and you know, I never asked for help. You know, and I'm not saying that I wasn't successful at doing what I did, but I didn't ask for help until one day my grandmother, you know, I'll try to keep this story as brief as I can, but this is what really changed me and shaped me to be where I am right now, is my grandmother came to visit my mom one day, and I just happened to be visiting my mother. And, you know, I had one of my cars in her backyard, the other one in her front yard. I had just moved out. You know, I'm just you know, at the time I was 18 years old. And my grandmother cracked a joke. And she said, you know, well, I love my grandchildren so much, anyone can move to California with me. And I looked at her, and I was like, I'm ready. She started laughing, and I was like, I'm serious. You know, so she was like, are you kidding me? So here I am about to turn 19 years old. 15 minutes later, my bags were packed, and I was ready for change. She was like, well, why do you want to leave? You're doing so good. I was like, because I want better. And she was like, but I hear you're about to graduate and get your high school diploma in 2 months. And I was like, well, you offered help, so I'm taking you up on it. And 3 hours later, I was headed to San Diego, and 6 months after that, you know, instead of a high school diploma, which I would have had, you know, I got my GED in 6 months and used that to join the military, and, you know, the rest is pretty much growth and, you know, and great storytelling that hopefully will transform people's lives. But like I said, I'm with Stephanie. I mean, it took me till I was that old to actually reach out and ask for help. You know, even when I was cold in the street, I didn't even ask for a blanket or a jacket or a bite to eat. You know, I did everything on my own, and I think, you know, you go through a certain kind of abuse, a certain kind of trauma in your life where you get so clammed up, you don't feel like asking for anything. You feel like the world is on your shoulders. You feel like, why would anybody do this to me? And, you know, you really have to, you know, at an age that young, I'm surprised I was looking up at the heavens like, God, like, where are you? But I still never I still never sidetracked from him. You know, I still have my believing that this can't be it. You know, I'm still alive, I'm still breathing, and I'm still getting just what I need. And I think that's prepared me to be the strong man that I am today. I think that's why, you know, every single one of us that went overseas, well, not every single one of us, I have some sad stories about that, but, you know, I had lost some buddies, but that's another story. But pretty much my first unit that I was with, you know, I can honestly say that we deployed and we came back safely. And, you know, it was a lot of that street knowledge, a lot of those skills that toughened me. So it's a double-edged sword. You know, you go through that trauma and pain, you know, but if I was to change anything, I wouldn't, you know, but this is just a wish. You know, if I wish I would have done anything different, I mean, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And things could have turned out way better, you know, or worse, I don't know. But what I do know is ever since I've been opening my mouth, it turned into me eating. It turned into me getting a roof over my head. It turned into me breaking out of my shell and getting an education. I wouldn't have been an Ashford graduate. You know, I wouldn't have joined the fraternity. You know, if it wouldn't be for me asking for help, I wouldn't have been able to open up and be the person I am today to, you know, to meet this guy that I forgot his name, Matt, I think it is. And have a conversation with Matt that you know, ended me to the position where I'm sitting here able to speak today. So I would say I would do the same thing that Stephanie's talking about. I wish I would have asked for help a long time ago.
Thank you.
Yeah, such an important takeaway.
And because I've heard that so much, I ask for help all the time, more than I ever did before we got into the military lifestyle. But it takes the forest, and I ask for help, and I have my husband ask for help, and it's because I've heard that so much. So it's great to continue to hear that.
I think we have time for one more question. Victoria, you want to lead us into the end here?
Sure.
That's the last one.
Okay. So when would you recommend service members start thinking about their transition? Stephanie?
Oh, I should recommend my friend, Katie Poppe, to help you out. So she's a planner. She puts everything on the calendar. You know, I think, like, honestly, you can't make as big of a commitment as joining the military without having a plan of what you're going to do after. I think the moment you sign up, you start thinking of your exit plan, because you don't know when that exit plan is going to be your decision or the decision of the government. I mean, I thought I was going to retire at 20 years, but because of how I was treated and how I felt about the service, I left after 6. So, and I know people that get injured and they don't have the option to stay in. It's like, I'm sorry, you did 19 years, too bad, you're getting kicked out because you got injured. And now you're 1 year away from retirement. A lot of people, you know, don't plan for that. They just immediately think that, you know, oh, well, I'm going to do my 20 years and I can afford to live on my retirement. I'll think about it later. That's way down the road. You're not promised tomorrow, and you're not promised a job in the military the next day. I know they say job stability, but you never know what's going to happen. And start thinking about that transition. There's so many jobs in the military that don't translate out into the civilian sector. I thought I could have just walked right out and got a job doing, you know, nursing or what I was doing in the military. I was like, that's the best training you could possibly get. How can I not go out and get a job doing the exact same thing that I was already doing? Because I don't hold a civilian credential? Like, come on, are you serious? I do more stuff in my job that those people will ever see in their schooling. But that's not how it works. The government is its own, like the military is its own world. It is like Pleasantville. They have their own rules. Everything is different. They have, I mean, you could get in trouble for getting a sunburn on a weekend if you didn't wear sunscreen. That is absurd to me. They own you. You are their property. So it was just, you can never plan too soon, and you can never be too prepared for what life will be like after. If you're active duty, take advantage of tuition assistance, use it as much as you possibly can. I wish I would have done that. I did all of my schooling after I got out of the military, and I was able to get an undergrad and a graduate program completed in 3.5 years because I had to make up for lost time. Use your TA. Make sure that you are wise with your benefits. If you need help understanding your benefits, definitely get someone to help you, whether you're transferring it to your spouse or you want your kids to utilize it. Start making those plans because strings come attached to some of those benefits if you want to transfer them, and a lot of people don't realize that. So the SGLI, I mean, putting away for savings, start planning your retirement because your pension's not going to be enough to survive on. I mean, I can't even, the things that I wish that I would have done before, oh, I'll worry about that later, oh, no big deal, or, you know, I kick myself in the rear sometimes for not making smarter decisions when I was younger or when I was active duty. So start making, day one, start planning for it because you don't know how soon the last day will be.
Yeah, like Stephanie, just research. I mean, that's essentially everything that she's saying. Just do your research, know what's out there, know what resources you have available to you now. You know, there's blended retirement systems now. So if you think that you might not be in for a career, look those up. Look at what it looks like to be at 8, 10, 12, 15 years. Try to plan as best as you can. Try to be in control of the things that you can be in control of. Utilize those resources. Specifically, to talk about the transfer of skills, so to speak, Stephanie's right. You're equipped with a much greater tool set than the average individual. I believe, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but less than 1% of our population serves the military. So you alone have a much larger and more equipped tool set than 99% of the rest of the world around you, or the rest of the country around you. So think about that from the career services side of things. Think about your transferable skills. You might not have a bulleted list of things that you can check off from a job requirement, but you're guaranteed that you have done some type of that activity within your military service. So think about how you can relate to the experience that you have to the experience that an employer is looking for, because you can fill in the gaps and find the in-betweens that will make you a far more marketable candidate than you think, or that you may think that you are. There's a fantastic resource. It's called My Next Move, or Your Next Move. And it's an online website, just a database that allows you to plug in your rank, your specialty, any type of credentialing or awards that you received during your military service. And what that will do is it will bring back to you a list of civilian jobs that are equated or that match some of that criteria or the skills that you utilized during your service. So we always recommend that our military students that are thinking about that transition utilize that service because I think Stephanie's going to pull that up and leave that for you guys in the chat. But fantastic resource. So again, there are things that exist. To piggyback again on about what's been said, just ask those questions. You never know what might exist. So certainly start thinking about it now and reach out when you have help, when you need help.
Thank you. We have a couple more minutes. Anything that you would like to add, Tommy, to close us off?
I pretty much agree with what they're saying. You know, I think the biggest thing is know yourself as a person. You know, for me, I have 4 different careers under my belt, but they all work with each other. You know, transportation office in the military works together with supply. Facilities works very close with safety. Everything was capped off, and for me, my next move was, okay, what do I do with this now? And you never stop looking at your next move. Then I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to go for my bachelor's degree in organizational management, and I got that. You know, now I'm currently working on my IFMA credential to put a cherry on top. But then when that's done, well, what's my next move after that? Maybe I'll go for my master's. Maybe I'll figure something else out. But the biggest thing, you know, like we're all talking about is, you know, you never sit and wait and wonder, well, what am I going to do? And I would highly recommend, you know, no matter what age you are, you know, if you find something you're passionate about, you know, it doesn't matter if it's art, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're passionate about something, stick with what you love. So at the end result, you're happy. I mean, I love messing with buildings and fixing stuff and doing things like that. I'm passionate about it, which is where all these different things came to play. You So I would say know yourself as a person, follow your passion, follow something that you love to do. So every morning when you wake up and you kiss your kids, you're not going to a place that you're not happy with. But I also understand that life is also stepping stones. So sometimes you got to pay the bills. And you may not be in a position that you're super excited about every single day, but at least save up enough and use the tools like, Miss Katie talked about, that My Next Move or any other tools that are out there in this world, asking for help, doing whatever you need to do to get to what you're passionate about. So that way, no matter what day you wake up in, you're always feeling fulfilled. You're always feeling happy in your heart, and every day is a blessing. I mean, I wake up every day and I'm so happy to come, to this establishment. I'm so happy to just serve people and do what I love to do. I want to say follow your heart, stick with your passion. It pays off. I'm not here for the paycheck. Believe me, I could use these 4 careers. I can do other things. But when you do something you're passionate about, it's not about the money. It's knowing, hey, when I'm done doing what I love to do, I'm going to go home, my kid's going to see a smile on my face, and they're going to feel the same way about me. Follow your passion. That's what I will tell you.
Well, thank you to each of you for sharing your very authentic experiences and some very valuable guidance. Stephanie and Tommy for your service, Katie for your family's commitment. I'm hopeful that the viewers have been able to take away some valuable information to support themselves and their family. And should you have any additional questions or thoughts after the session, Victoria and I will have our contact information listed. We can certainly pass information along to our panelists for follow-up from them as well. And before we really close out this evening, any remaining questions from chat, any remaining thoughts from our panelists? I think that takes us all the way through. Everybody have a wonderful evening and a happy Veterans Day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.